I pay respect to the past, present, and future leaders. Welcome to Disability Sausage Media YouTube channel, where we top online TV station, where we reduce ableism in order to include everyone in society. I'm your host, Paul Mugambi. If you may like, call me Mpofu number one. This is a platform where we say, let's make disability simple, just like eating a sausage. In today's episode, we're discussing matter tax exemption in relation to persons with disabilities. For a fact that Kenya started a new adventure in 2009 through a regulation during when former President Uhuru Kenyatta was the finance minister in 2009 in the Kibaki government, the third president of Kenya. Oh my goodness. Wow. These regulations were very important because they were intended to help persons with disabilities in terms of subsidies of issues around disability costs. And as we know, Kenya has been currently in 2022 discussing issues around tax payments and what needs to be done. And President William Ruto has been very much vocal about issues around tax payment, where KRA can get money, etc. But a question is to be asked: how is the government intending to act on issues around tax exemption for persons with disabilities? Will the policy change? Will the government improve the tax regime for persons with disabilities? For sure, we know that from 2009 up to now, 2022, heading to 2023, it's more than 15, I believe, years, and life has really changed. The economy situation has really changed for persons with disabilities. And as a policy scholar, as we discuss in this platform, we talk issues about policies. And as we know, Disability Sausage Media has been part of the Organizations for Persons with Disabilities, or as a policy think tank, we've contributed towards the revision of the tax regime for persons with disabilities. And one of the recommendations is the government to move the issues around the tax exemption, which has been tagged from 150,000 to at least 300,000 or 250,000. Because at the end of the day, persons with disabilities, we incur a lot of costs in terms of personal assistance, in terms of transport, in terms of our lives generally revolve around expenses, which are extra costs, which are not being catered for by different areas, and we have to ensure they are really met. For example, if a blind or visually impaired person has to buy a computer, he has to buy a software which costs more than 100,000. And if these costs are not being catered for by the government, who will cater for? That's why we are discussing this issue about tax exemption needs to be relooked. And whenever one wants to travel, giving another example, a person with wheelchair, a person on crutches, or a person with a white kidney, or a person who has a child with cognitive disability, he needs to use a car. And sometimes you find that most of them can't afford to buy a car. And that's why we know that many a times, even if we have these tax exemption of vehicles, it has not yet been enjoyed by many persons with disabilities. One of the things is that for, let's say, for example, a blind person or visually impaired person, even if you are tax exempted from paying tax for the vehicle, at the end of the day, a blind person, you cannot, in Kenyan roads, anyway, you cannot drive yourself, so you have to employ a driver. So at the end of the day, even if you're tax exempted in terms of vehicle, you have to pay again more money. So how does the government ensure that even blind persons or visually impaired persons are not disproportionately affected by such anomalies? We really need to look on these issues of tax regime so that more persons with disabilities can also enjoy the service, because we know public places are not accessible. Citing example of our roads, most of them a blind person, a visually impaired person, a person in a wheelchair, a person in a crutch cannot walk by himself or by herself because of such instances. As we talk about this tax exemption or issue, and many persons with abilities would like to pay taxes, but what are we paying for? Are we paying for in non-existing services? Are we paying for what are we really paying for? Yes, and by the way, normally pay taxes. No one should cheat you that you don't pay, because when you buy sugar, when you buy the famous unga, when you buy maybe a wine somewhere there, or a bottle of beer for those who drink, and maybe water, Coca-Cola there, we pay taxes, so no one should say that persons' abilities are demanding too much from the government. Absolutely correct, because persons' abilities have been marginalized for a long time, both socially, economic, and political spheres. And as we know, we have international agreements which do exist, which envisage that persons' ability should enjoy more exemptions so that they can be able to uplift their lives to come nearer to what other people are enjoying. We should ask ourselves if persons' abilities can be enabled, can be empowered. You know, even if we get these tax exemptions, at the end of the day, it goes to the economic welfare of the community, because as disability sausage media we normally say, that economy is persons' abilities after America and China. This is because when I get my money, I have to pay for the services, I have to pay for repairs, I have to pay for softwares, I have to pay for everything. So at the end of the day, this tax is not just exempted. I'm also contributing to the economic welfare of the community and the society at large. And I believe I've educated you much more matters around tax exemption. So I'm waiting to see the new CS for social protection in collaboration with Professor Njuguna of Treasury to see how they can implement or execute the regulations which we had revised, and they are yet to be gazetted, because it's not a question of when, it is now. Let's implement these policies or regulation which can empower more persons' abilities to ensure they participate in the economic welfare of our nation and our nation at large. This program, Disability Sausage Media YouTube channel, today has been discussing matter tax exemption and what persons' abilities need to do, and what duty bearers need to take measures in place with immediate effect. We should not be waiting for a long time for such initiatives to be implemented, because they are effectively enable persons' abilities to be part of the society. I have been your host, Paul Mugambi. If you may like, call me Mpof number one. Kindly subscribe to the YouTube channel. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is a platform where we reduce ableism, and we are making disability to be simple, just like eating a sausage. Enjoy. Thank you.